Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I'm really glad you're joining us today.
Yeah, great to be diving in again.
We've got a topic that's honestly just fundamental. If you want to understand how any business, big or small, actually works, well, this is it.
Absolutely. Especially crucial if you're an IGCSE business student, this stuff comes up a lot.
It really does. But even if you're not, if you're just, curious about what makes people tick at work, why some people love their jobs and others don't, you're definitely in the right place.
Today we're getting into Part 3, motivation. It's a core part of Unit 2, People in Business.
And specifically, Chapter 21, the importance of motivation in the workplace. Sounds a bit textbooky, I know.
It does, but trust us, the ideas we're going to unpack are anything but dry. They're basically the lifeblood of a successful business.
That's spot on. Because really, understanding motivation, it's like the secret sauce, isn't it? For keeping a business going, keeping it thriving.
It is. Think about it when you invest in your people, the individuals in the business.
The people in business bit.
Exactly. That investment, it pays back directly. You get better production, sure, but also a much more positive, encouraging atmosphere at work.
Which helps keep things stable, right? Helps the business last long term. It's not just fluff. It hits the bottom line.
Precisely. And for you IGCSE students listening, I really want to stress this. Motivation is a big topic. It shows up again and again on exams.
So getting your head around these concepts isn't just about ticking a box for the exam.
Not at all. It builds a real understanding that'll give you an edge, seriously, not just in school, but, later on, whatever job you end up doing.
And hey, as always, if you want to dig even deeper, find more resources, maybe do some extra revision.
Definitely check out www.igcec-business.weebly.com. Loads of good stuff there.
Yeah, our main goal here today is to break down these ideas, make them clear, relatable.
Especially if English isn't your first language. We want everyone to have those aha moments.
Our mission, basically, is to pull out the really key nuggets of knowledge, the useful bits from our sources on this.
Well, it's a massive topic. Give you that shortcut to being clued in, maybe with a few surprising facts thrown in. Keep you hooked.
Okay, let's do it. Let's unpack this right from the start. We throw the word motivation around a lot, don't we? But what does it actually mean, specifically in the workplace?
Good place to start. At its absolute simplest, motivation is just the desire to achieve a goal. That's it.
Okay, desire to achieve a goal. Seems simple enough.
But like you said, in a work context, it gets a bit more layered. It's really about the internal drive someone has to achieve their own goals.
Their own goals.
Yeah, which hopefully line up with what the business is trying to achieve. But it starts from within the person.
Ah, okay. So it's not just about hitting company targets. It's something more personal pushing them.
Exactly that. Sometimes people are just naturally self-motivated. Their drive comes from inside.
Like they love what they do. Or they're just really ambitious.
Could be either. Passion, curiosity, a real personal goal they're chasing hard. They don't always need someone telling them what to do or offering a carrot.
Right, like an artist who just has to paint. Or that coder who tinkers all weekend just for the challenge.
Precisely. That's intrinsic motivation. Super powerful. But, and this is a big but, a lot of people do need that external push or pressure or, rewards.
Okay, so that's where the business comes in, providing those things.
Yes. And you see this difference everywhere, right? Some employees just hit the ground running, super engaged. Others, well, they need the right kind of incentives, maybe clearer structures, or just regular encouragement to really perform their best.
Makes sense. Different people, different buttons to push.
And our sources really highlight this too. Worker productivity varies a lot. And a big reason is often just down to motivation levels. Some people just seem to have more drive, more willingness to work hard. Others need that drive, let's say, cultivated.
Okay, that distinction between the self-starters and those who need a bit more nurturing, that's clear. So let's zoom out. Why is this whole topic just so critical for businesses? What's the big picture?
The big picture is, if a business manages to build a genuinely well-motivated workforce, it just performs better. Simple as that, really.
Performs better how?
Well, first off, it creates a happier working environment. People are more upbeat, they collaborate better. It just feels nicer to be there.
Okay, a nicer vibe, that's good.
But it's more than just nice. That positive environment translates directly into higher labor productivity.
Ah, productivity. That's the key word for business, isn't it?
Absolutely vital. Higher productivity means more output, better efficiency. It's the engine of profitability and success long term. It's not just a nice-to-have perk.
No, it sounds like a fundamental must-have for performance, for the bottom line. Okay, so break it down for us. How does motivation specifically help businesses grow? Let's start with getting the right people in the first place, attracting talent.
Right. So businesses always need to attract the best workers they can find. Yeah. It's competitive out there.
For sure.
Now, if your current workforce is motivated, positive, energetic, that creates a massive advantage in attracting new talent. Well, imagine you're going for an interview. You walk into Office A, everyone looks cheerful, helpful, engaged. You walk into Office B, people look stressed, bored, maybe avoiding eye contact.
It's a no-brainer, isn't it? You pick Office A every time. You can feel the energy.
You absolutely can, and candidates do feel it. That positive vibe, that sense of a motivated workplace, it makes people much more likely to accept a job offer.
So it helps close the deal with good candidates.
Definitely. And it goes beyond just the interview day. A company known for its positive culture builds a strong reputation. More good people want to apply there.
So it builds the employer brand, makes recruitment easier overall.
Much easier, smoother, faster. You get a better pool of applicants to choose from. It saves time and effort finding those top people. It's a virtuous cycle, really. Motivated people attract more motivated people.
Okay, attracting talent is one big piece. But here's where I think it gets really crucial. It's not just about getting them through the door, is it? It's about keeping them.
Oh, absolutely. You've hit on a huge point there. Retention. Keeping your good workers.
Because losing people, that must cost a fortune, right?
It does. Way more than most businesses probably realize. When you have higher motivation, you get lower staff turnover.
Staff turnover, that's the rate people leave their jobs.
Exactly, the rate they leave and need replacing. And low turnover saves massive costs.
What kind of costs? Just recruitment ads?
Oh, way beyond that. Think about it. Advertising, yes, but also managers, time screening, CVs, interviewing.
Lost productivity while the job's empty.
Right. And then the big one, training the new person up to speed. That takes time and money. Some studies say replacing someone can cost between half and even twice their annual salary.
Wow, that much.
Yeah, when you factor everything in. So if you keep your good, motivated people, that initial investment you made in hiring and training them, it keeps paying off.
And a high turnover. It must mess things up operationally, too.
Big time. It disrupts projects, workflows. Managers get bogged down in constant hiring cycles. You lose knowledge, experience, people who know how things really work.
So keeping motivated staff just makes the whole business run smoother, more profitably.
Much more profitably. It's like a sports team, isn't it? A stable team that gels together performs better than one constantly chopping and changing players. That stability is a huge advantage, builds cohesion.
Okay, stability, cost savings. Now, let's talk output. Businesses need to produce stuff, whether it's goods or services. How does motivation directly impact productivity, quantity, and quality?
This is where it really hits home. Motivated employees, they just work harder. They're more focused.
Get more done.
Yeah, they're much more likely to meet deadlines, finish tasks efficiently. They hit those business goals. But it's not just about churning out more.
Quality matters, too.
Hugely. Motivated people tend to care more about their work. They pay more attention to detail. They're invested in the outcome. So you get higher quality products, better service. They strive for excellence, not just the bare minimum.
Makes sense. And what about how people work together? Teamwork.
Big impact there, too. Motivated teams collaborate better. People are less likely to be difficult or uncooperative.
More willing to help each other out.
Exactly. Communication flows better. Unmotivated workers, on the other hand, that can lead to friction, arguments, people not pulling their weight. It just drains energy away from actually getting the work done.
You know, it really sounds like the damage from poor motivation is, well, it's severe. It's not just someone having a bad day.
It's absolutely severe. Financially, operationally.
Yeah.
It hits hard. Poorly motivated staff, they're more likely to call in sick, right? Higher absenteeism.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They might work slower, make more mistakes, all of which increases costs and eats into profits. We can actually see this in the numbers.
Oh, yeah. Got an example.
Well, take that Latvian company mentioned in the sources, Andris Zuzins. They make electric motors. Back in 2013, their staff turnover was, wait for it, 33%.
33%. A third of their workforce leaving every year. That's insane.
Insane is the word. Hugely disruptive, incredibly costly, and guess what? It directly linked to lower productivity. They were making 1,200 units per worker then.
Okay, high turnover, lower output. Any other signs?
Yep. Staff absenteeism was also high, 7.4% in 2013. Almost 1 in 10 workdays lost. That paints a pretty bleak picture, doesn't it? disengaged workforce.
It really does. So what happened? Did they turn it around?
Looks like it. By 2015, things had improved dramatically. Staff turnover was down to 15%, still maybe a bit high, but much better. Absenteeism almost halved, down to 4.9%.
And productivity.
Went up to 1,530 units per worker.
Wow. So less turnover, less absence, more output. That's pretty clear evidence.
Undeniable, really. Improved motivation, and you see tangible results. And it's not just one company. Did you know globally employee disengagement is estimated to cost something like $8.8 trillion a year?
Trillion.
Trillion. More than 9% of global GDP. It's a massive economic drain.
That's staggering.
Yeah.
It really brings it all. Okay, so this leads to the big question, doesn't it? If motivation's so important, how do businesses actually do it? How can they influence it effectively?
Right. That's the million-dollar question. And it's where understanding people, understanding psychology at work becomes absolutely critical.
So businesses aren't just stuck with whatever motivation levels people bring.
No, not at all. They can actively change things. They can adjust working conditions. They can provide things that meet various human needs. And over the years, some really smart people have developed theories to help businesses figure this out.
Theories about human needs.
Exactly. Frameworks to understand what drives people. We're going to look at 3 key ones: Taylor's scientific management, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and Hertzberg's two-factor theory. Each gives us a different, valuable perspective.
Okay, 3 big theories. Let's start with the first one of the earliest ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Frederick Taylor, scientific management. What was his thinking?
Frederick Taylor. He was working back in the early 1900s, peak Industrial Revolution time, and his core belief, looking back, seems quite stark.
How so?
He basically assumed workers were primarily motivated by one thing: money.
Just money.
Pretty much. He saw factories where he thought workers weren't working efficiently. They were soldiering. He called it deliberately working slow. So his whole theory, Taylorism, was about making work scientifically efficient, pushed by financial incentives.
So break down the task, find the one best way, train people to do just that, and pay them for output, like cogs in a machine.
That's a pretty good summary, yeah. He recommended specialist tools, strict procedures, proper training for that one task, even calculated breaks for physical recovery, and crucially, piece rate pay.
Piece rate pay, you get paid for each item you produce.
Exactly. The more you make, the more you earn. Simple, direct link. A fair day's pay for a fair day's work was the idea. Make the task efficient, pay for output, and boom, productivity goes up.
And did it work?
Well, in some situations, yes. For very manual, repetitive tasks in factories, it often did increase productivity significantly. It was revolutionary for its time.
But I sense a but coming.
Oh, big but. From our modern view, it's incredibly limited. It really only works for jobs where output is easily measured and the task is repetitive.
What were the main criticisms? What did it miss?
It completely missed the human element. It focused only on money, ignoring things like social connection, feeling valued, having interesting work, creativity.
Yeah, the stuff that makes work feel meaningful, not just mechanical.
Exactly. Workers felt dehumanized, like extensions of the machines. It led to boredom, repetitive strain injuries, high dissatisfaction. It stifled any initiative because workers were just meant to follow orders, not think.
So short-term productivity gains maybe, but long-term problems.
Often, yes. Burnout, high turnover, lack of innovation. Most modern businesses, especially those needing creativity or problem-solving, find Taylorism way too simplistic. It just doesn't capture the complexity of what motivates people today. Some principles like standardizing tasks still exist, but the pure money-driven model, largely outdated.
Okay, so Taylor was very mechanical. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Abraham Maslow and his hierarchy of needs. This feels much more human.
Oh, completely different perspective. Maslow, a psychologist writing in the 1940s, saw human needs as layered, like a pyramid.
The famous pyramid, right?
That's the one, his core idea. We're motivated by satisfying a sequence of needs, starting at the bottom. And crucially, once a need at one level is mostly met, it stops being the main driver. The next level up takes over.
So you can't motivate someone with, say, praise and recognition if they're worried about paying their rent.
Exactly. The lower needs have to be reasonably satisfied first before the higher ones kick in as motivators. Let's break it down, bottom up.
Okay, bottom level.
Physiological needs, absolute basics for survival. Food, water, shelter, warmth, rest. If you don't have these, nothing else matters.
In work terms.
Fair pay. Enough money to afford the basics, maybe subsidized food, help with housing, decent wages. It's the foundation.
Got it. Foundation level. What's next?
Safety and security needs. Feeling safe from danger, physical danger, but also psychological threats. Needing routine, stability, predictability.
So, job security. Not worrying about being fired tomorrow?
Yes, job security is huge here. Also, safe working conditions, physically safe. Clear rules and procedures so things feel predictable. Maybe benefits like health insurance, pensions add to that feeling of security. If you feel unsafe or insecure, finding safety becomes your main motivation.
Okay, basic needs met. Feel safe.
Mm.
What?
Yep.
People need people, right?
You got it. Level 3 is social needs, sometimes called love and belonging. We're social creatures. We need to feel part of a group, connect with others, have friends.
How can businesses help with that? Team building stuff.
Exactly. Promoting teamwork, having good communication channels, social events like parties or sports teams, even just encouraging a friendly atmosphere. Actually, the source notes organizing people into teams is a direct way to meet social needs, gives a sense of identity, belonging. Isolation is demotivating.
Makes sense. Feeling part of the tribe.
Yeah.
Okay, beyond fitting in, what's next? Feeling good about yourself.
Spot on. Esteem needs. This is about self-respect and getting respect from others, feeling competent, achieving things, getting recognition, status.
So this is where things like promotions come in, or awards.
Definitely. Praise for doing a good job, awards, recognition, maybe a promotion that gives more status or responsibility. When your efforts are noticed and valued, it boosts your self-worth, motivates you to keep achieving.
Right. And the final level, the top of the pyramid.
Self-actualization. This is about fulfilling your potential, becoming the best you can be, using your skills, being creative, solving complex problems, making a unique impact.
Wow, that sounds big. How can a job help with that?
By giving people challenges, opportunities to be creative, to solve problems, to make decisions, to learn and grow through training or mentorship. It's about enabling people to really stretch themselves and use their unique talents.
So the key for a manager using Maslow is figure out where your employees are on that pyramid.
Precisely. You need to identify their unmet needs, because trying to motivate with something high up the pyramid won't work if a lower need isn't met. Offering creative projects to someone terrified about job security? Pointless.
Right, you need to address the most pressing need first. Let's look at those examples again. Inchcape, the car dealer, they had those benefits.
Yeah, holiday benefits, the discount scheme,
Ah.
Advantage, childcare vouchers.
Where do they fit in Maslow's model? They seem pretty foundational.
They absolutely are. They directly hit physiological needs, making basics more affordable. And safety needs, providing financial stability, reducing stress. They ensure that base level is covered.
Okay. And what about the share scheme or the customer introduction award?
Those are interesting. They touch on safety again through financial gain, but they strongly hit. Esteem needs too recognition for contributing, feeling like an owner, that sense of achievement.
And that employee, Rachel Mullard, talking about the charity work, feeling the love, doing something good, the sprints with the manager, that sounds higher up the pyramid.
Definitely. That's a great example. The teamwork in charity connects to social needs, belonging. Doing something good and feeling valued hits esteem needs. And the challenge, the growth she felt, sprints, change that points right towards self-actualization, using her potential in a new way.
It shows how one activity can tap into multiple levels. What about the chess company? They seem big on charity, too.
They did. The day off for charity, matching funds, that hits social, teamwork for a cause, and esteem, recognition, feeling good about contributing, possibly even self-actualization for some, making a meaningful impact.
And their mentoring scheme.
Classic self-actualization.
Huh?
Developing skills, helping others grow, pure personal development.
And all the social stuff, conferences, festivals.
Pure social needs, building community, connection, belonging, making work more than just tasks. It builds loyalty, makes people feel part of something.
Maslow's pyramid. It's a really powerful way to think about needs. Okay, so Taylor focused on money. Maslow on a hierarchy of needs. What about the third one? Herzberg's two-factor theory. How's that different?
Herzberg, another psychologist, came along in the 60s with a really interesting, slightly counterintuitive finding. He said the things that stop you being dissatisfied at work are completely different from the things that actually make you satisfied and motivated.
Hang on. So stopping dissatisfaction isn't the same as creating satisfaction? Two separate lists of things.
Exactly. That's the core idea. Two factors. He called them hygiene factors and motivators.
Okay, hygiene factors. What are they?
These relate to the job environment, the context around the job, things like Pay, working conditions, job security, the quality of your boss, relationships with colleagues, company policies.
Stuff that, if it's bad, you'll definitely complain about.
Precisely. If your pay is awful, or your office is freezing, or you think you might get fired any second, you'll be dissatisfied, unmotivated. But, and this is Hertzberg's key point, just fixing these things, making them acceptable or even good, doesn't necessarily make you actively motivated. It just stops you being unhappy.
Right, like having clean water, your earlier analogy. You need it, you'd be sick without it, but having it doesn't suddenly make you want to run a marathon. It just means you're not sick.
Perfect analogy. Hygiene factors remove the negatives. They prevent dissatisfaction. Now the other side, motivators.
These are the things that do make you want to run the marathon.
Kind of. These are the factors that lead to actual job satisfaction, positive feelings, real engagement, and they relate to the job content itself, the work you actually do.
Like what?
Things like achieving goals, having a real chance of promotion, being given responsibility, doing work that's genuinely interesting, getting recognition for your achievements, opportunities for personal growth. When these are present, that's when people feel truly motivated, driven, satisfied.
So Hertzberg is saying you could have great pay, total job security, a lovely office, nice colleagues, but if the work itself is boring, you have no responsibility, no recognition, you still won't be motivated. You'll just be not miserable.
That's exactly his argument. You won't be dissatisfied, thanks to the good hygiene factors, but you won't be motivated without the motivators. It's a crucial distinction.
Wow. So businesses need to do two things. First, fix the hygiene stuff.
Get it to an acceptable level, yes. Eliminate the dissatisfaction. You have to do that first.
And then focus on bringing in the motivators.
Exactly. Then you need to build in things like responsibility, interesting tasks, recognition, growth opportunities. That's what actually drives performance and satisfaction, according to Hertzberg. It's about cultivating excellence, not just fixing problems.
Let's apply that lens to Inchcape again. Those benefits, holidays, discounts, childcare, hygiene, or motivators?
Mostly hygiene factors.
Yeah.
They address basic well-being, financial security. They stop people being unhappy about those things. Crucial, but not the core drivers.
What about the share scheme or the customer award?
Could be a bit of both.
Right.
The money side is hygiene, but the recognition, the feeling of ownership, that could definitely act as a motivator. Achievement, responsibility.
And Rachel's charity work experience. Doing something good, the challenge, the growth that screams motivator, doesn't it?
Absolutely textbook motivators. Recognition, doing something good, interesting work, a change, personal development, the sprints, the growth. It shows that even if some hygiene aspects weren't perfect, maybe the conditions during the charity work weren't luxurious, the power of the motivators created real engagement. It fulfilled those deeper needs related to the work itself.
Fascinating how these theories offer different angles but often point to similar things being important. Okay, we've dug into the why and the how. Does all this apply differently depending on the size of the business? Small shop versus huge corporation.
Good question. The basic importance of motivation, that's universal, applies everywhere.
But maybe how you do it changes.
Exactly. The approach might differ. In small businesses, sometimes motivation can get overlooked if the owner is juggling everything. Maybe HR isn't very formal.
But maybe it's easier too, because relationships are closer.
It's the flip side. Small businesses have a huge potential advantage. That personal touch from the owner, seeing your impact directly, feeling like part of a tight-knit team. That can be incredibly motivating, often more organically than in a huge company.
Right. And large businesses.
They usually need more structure. Formal HR, defined incentive programs, career paths. Because you can't rely just on personal relationships at that scale. But the core principles, Maslow's needs, Hertzberg's factors, they still apply. You still need to ensure safety needs are met. You still need to provide motivators like interesting work and recognition, even within a giant corporation. It just needs to be implemented more systematically.
So same principles, different execution depending on size and structure.
Pretty much sums it up. Whether you have 5 employees or 50,000, understanding what drives them is absolutely key.
Okay, this has been incredibly insightful, really unpacked a lot. Now, to make sure we've all absorbed this, how about a quick quiz? Test ourselves.
Sounds good. 3 multiple choice questions based on what we've covered. Ready?
Let's do it. Question 1.
Okay. Better motivation at work is likely to increase what? Your options are A, staff turnover, B, cash flow, C, labor productivity, or D, hygiene factors.
Better motivation should lead to. Think about those business benefits we discussed.
Okay, got your answer. The correct one is C, labor productivity. More motivation generally means people work harder and smarter, boosting output. Remember Andrus Juzen's higher motivation, higher productivity.
Right. Okay, question 2.
Which of the following is an example of a motivator according to Hertzberg? Is it A, increase in salary, B, more responsibility at work, C, better job security, or D, improved working conditions?
Hertzberg, motivator, not just hygiene. What actually drives satisfaction?
And the answer is B, more responsibility at work. Salary, security, conditions, those are hygiene factors for Hertzberg. They stop to satisfaction. Responsibility relates to the job itself and actively motivates.
Good distinction. Final question number 3.
Which of the following would help to satisfy esteem needs at work? According to Maslow, that is it A, higher pay, B, opportunities to be creative, C, more supervision, or D, more praise from senior staff?
Maslow's pyramid. Esteem needs. Respect, achievement, recognition.
Think you've got it. The answer is D, more praise from senior staff. Praise directly addresses the need for recognition and respect from others, a core part of esteem. Higher pay is lower down, physiological safety. Creativity links more to self-actualization, and more supervision isn't usually seen as fulfilling esteem needs.
Fantastic. Hope you do well on the quiz at home. We have covered so much today. Let's try and bring it all together. We've really explored why motivation isn't just, a fluffy HR thing, but absolutely critical for business success.
Non-negotiable, really.
And we've looked at these key theories. Taylor's early focus on money, Maslow's amazing hierarchy of needs, Hertzberg's really clever distinction between hygiene factors and true motivators, all trying to explain that complex thing.
Exactly. And understanding this, it's not just for passing an exam, is it? It's about applying it. Whether you end up managing people, starting your own thing, or just being an employee, knowing what drives people is just invaluable.
It really helps you understand workplaces better, maybe even your own reactions to jobs.
Definitely. It helps build better workplaces, improve your own experience. It shows that fundamentally, business success really depends on the people involved, their hearts and minds.
So here's a thought to leave you with. Think about jobs, maybe one's friends or family complain about. Are they complaining because the hygiene factors are genuinely bad, low pay, awful conditions, zero security?
Or is it perhaps that the hygiene stuff is okay, maybe even pretty good, but they're lacking the real motivators Hertzberg talked about? Is the work dull? Is there no recognition, no chance to grow?
And what could actually be done, maybe by the person or the company, to shift that, to turn that feeling of just meh or dissatisfaction into real engagement, real drive?
It's a powerful lens to look through, isn't it? Helps make sense of a lot of workplace dynamics.
It really does. And listen, if you want to keep digging into these ideas, reinforce your learning for IGCSE Business Studies, don't forget that website.
That's www.igcec-business.weebly.com. Check it out for more resources and revision materials.
Definitely worth a visit. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Hope you found it genuinely useful.
We certainly hope so. We look forward to the next deep dive with you. Until then, keep learning, keep thinking, and stay curious.